Today, we're going to talk about an important topic. The topic is self-care. Now, when I say self-care, a lot of people immediately think about checking themselves into a day spa for an afternoon, or getting a pedicure, or some other kind of really relaxing, amazing experience. Now, those things are great, don't get me wrong, but self-care is so much bigger than that. We need to really reframe it, and if we can do that correctly, we're going to find that it's a lot easier to implement self-care into our daily routine. So we're going to talk about that today, and I'm going to give you 5 great tips on how to do that. If you set up your life in the right way that honors and protects and preserves yourself, you'll be able to show up as your highest self in every place that you go. When you commit to yourself first, it actually helps you take better care of those around you, your community, your environment, the world. When you love yourself first, you'll be better able to love others. That is the truest form of self-care. Okay, one other thing. Self-care reconnects you to your best self, your authentic self, and you stop seeing yourself through the fear of other people's judgment, and brings clarity to your life and peace to your life. So let's break down a few myths that a lot of people think when it comes to self-care. So myth number 1, it's selfish. Well, the truth of the matter is, if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else can either. Even if you are a parent with high moral obligations to care for your children and to be an important part of the family dynamic, you have to care for yourself first. The fight between selfishness and selflessness is really a false dichotomy. Those two things aren't really what we're talking about. True self-care nourishes self so that you can be your best self when you interact with others. So right action benefits everyone. Okay, myth number 2, there's just no time. There's no time for pampering myself and taking care of myself. Well, we all have a fixed number of hours in the day, so it doesn't come down to time, but it does come down to, and how much value you place on yourself. Now, a lot of us have been taught and picked up kind of this social currency that if we serve others so much that they depend on us, we can kind of extract value and we can get validation from that framework. And that works wonderfully, but out of balance, it ends up creating resentment inside of ourselves and a feeling like we are losing ourselves in the worst sense of that word. And instead of showing up with abundance to give to others, we become depleted. We find that there's less and less of us really there to give. So it's important to place the right amount of value on ourselves so that we have something to give and to serve other people with. All right, so myth number 3, I can't do it all, so I'm not going to do anything. This all or none kind of thinking shows up in lots of ways that are kind of self-destructive. The fact of the matter is, any amount of self-care and valuing of self is beneficial. The more you do it, the more you're going to find the ways that it benefits you, and the more you'll want to care for yourself. So it doesn't matter that you're not perfect. Maybe well, here's myth number 4. I've tried certain things that people say are self-care and they just didn't seem to work for me. Well, once again, there's a lot of different aspects of our lives. And just because you've kind of applied this idea of self-care in one area doesn't mean you've tried every area. So there are physical ways that you can care for yourself. There's mental and emotional ways that you can care for self. So once again, it's a process. Everyone is different. If you've tried some things and they haven't really yielded much of a benefit, that's okay. Try something else. The most important thing is that there's an intrinsic value of self that's equal to the value you place on other people. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 5 areas that I see that are simple ways to incorporate this concept of self-care into your daily routine so that it doesn't feel like it's difficult. Okay, so number 1, we want to start the day focused on self. So what you do in the first part of your day really has a huge impact on the rest of the day. Your morning routine starts you off in the direction that you want to go every day. You decide how much time you want to plan for this each morning, but I schedule typically a half hour to an hour every morning, and I separate that into a couple different types of activities. So the first kind of chunk is related to kind of mental and emotional and spiritual grounding. This is the time where I express gratitude. I write in a journal, or I plan my day and I talk about the highest priority things that need to be done. This is a time where I might do some meditation or read scripture or pray. So I'm starting the day with intention about what I want to accomplish and who I want to be and how I want to show up. After I've done that, I spend some time grounding and connecting with my physical body. That looks to me like simple things like yoga or stretching, some simple body weight, high intensity interval type exercises, maybe sitting in my sauna. Anyway, these are simple things. If the weather's great, I love to get out and take a walk and get some fresh air and see the morning sunrise. So connecting with spiritual, mental, and emotional parts, and then connecting with, physical body and kind of waking that body up. That's how I choose to kind of start my day. So here's just a few suggestions. I've mentioned a few of them already, but prayer, meditation, affirmations, writing in a journal, reading something inspirational, prioritizing and kind of creating your to-do list or your priority list, exercise, connecting with somebody else if you want to meet a friend for a walk or go with your spouse. So these are all great things to do to start your day. So that's number one. Now, number two is creating some screen-free zones. Now, this can connect and be part of my suggestion number one, but it doesn't have to be. This is just a realization that our phones and our laptops and our computers are ways that we interact with the outside world. And the outside world has agendas for us, right? When we open our email, there are things people want from us, or directions that marketers are trying to push our brain so that we lose track of what we wanted to do and we get off on tangents and wormholes. So creating some moments where they're kind of screen-free times is a really powerful way to turn inward and spend a few minutes doing some breath work, spend a few minutes reading or drawing or listening to music. So I like to do this first thing in the morning as part of that morning routine, but it also shows up at work sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit of pressure, a little bit of stress. I'll take the screen-free break time during the day. By eliminating that draw of other people's agendas, I find that I can refocus myself and calm my nervous system down. So that's another great self-care habit. All right, number three, you can see these can stack together, and that's great because habit stacking is a really good way to get things done. So number three is just take positivity breaks. So that could look a little bit different than just a screen-free time because theoretically you might be able to get some positivity from purposeful interaction with YouTube or Spotify or a podcast or something like that. But it's also a great time to do other things that are off screen. So during these positivity breaks, I really kind of process how my body's feeling, whether I'm kind of in fight or flight and stress modes, and I kind of work on ways to calm my nervous system down. Some simple box breathing or just slowing down my breath. Positivity break may be to reflect on things that are going right. Looking at your list and seeing if you've checked a few things off. Those are positive motivations that help you frame the rest of the day. They don't need to take a lot of time. 5-10 minutes of mindfulness is a really powerful solution to re-ground you. Okay. Here's a few other ideas. I've kind of mentioned things like listening or playing music, dancing, taking a power nap. You could take a little break. I think that's positivity. You could create something. You could go for a walk, sit outside in the sunshine. things like running your feet through the grass or, kind of engaging and connecting with earth and grounding. These are awesome little things you can add to your positivity break during the day. All right, number 4. This is all about connections with other people. We are social creatures. We have evolved in social groups, and we can get really isolated in our little work environments or just kind of get into our virtual world and scroll Facebook or other social media. And we kind of think we're interacting with others, but it's not the way our brain and nervous system evolved to be most highly functional. So I want to suggest self-care is connecting with others in the real universe, not just the virtual. Call someone, actually hear their voice and the inflections of their tone and laugh together. And, so if you've got somebody you haven't talked to, I know you want to just text them, say, hey, do you got 5 minutes? I'd love to chat. Go by and visit a neighbor, great time to interact with somebody who might be lonely. When you connect with another person and you feel their joy and their spirit lift, it has a profound effect on you as well. If you're a mom with little kids at home, they may be really kind of demanding, but if you'll take a minute and sit down and snuggle with them and read a book, that connection will calm them down and calm you down and ground that relationship. Okay, so even simple things like smiling at a stranger while you're walking through the grocery store or doing a random act of service or kindness to somebody. These real kind of human connections are powerful ways to care for self. It's kind of paradoxical when you're serving someone else, what it does to self. And it's a great way to care for yourself while you're giving to someone else. Okay, now the last one is kind of the bookend to what I mentioned at the front, and that is to make sleep a priority. So we talked about making conscious, deliberate choices in the beginning of your day, and I want you to framing the end of your day and how powerful that can be for your care of self. Of course, we talk a lot about sleep. It's one of our simple 7 lifestyle habits that we stress in our practice, and there's a lot more information on our website and on other podcasts about sleep. What I want you to consider right here, though, is creating the routine before bed. So here's a few ideas for a really successful evening routine that will nurture and care for yourself and allow you to have a more restful, rejuvenating, reparative sleep. We mentioned this at the beginning. If you don't write in a gratitude journal in the morning, perfect time to do it at the end of the day. Look at all the good things that have happened to you and be grateful for them. Another great time to read inspirational books, listen to meditation CDs, listen to calming soundtracks, take a relaxing bath, connect with your loved ones however you can, just have meaningful connection. And, this is a great time for intimacy, both emotional and physical, with a loved one or spouse. So think about this framework of morning routine, evening routine, and then breaks of screen time and positivity. And if you can structure this throughout your day, you'll realize that your stress levels are able to kind of calm down, and you don't need a trip to the spa just to calm yourself. You found ways throughout the day to kind of lower your stress level and nurture yourself, nurture things that make you feel like you're accomplishing what you want to in your life, and your life is intentional and on purpose. So if you want to do a quick assessment of how you're doing in a lot of different areas of your life, a little self-assessment, we created a digital version of this on our website. It's called the Wellness Wheel. And I just want you to go to duggarwellness.com/wellness-wheel. And if you just answer those questions, it will show you kind of where parts of your lifestyle are out of balance and give you some good direction of what you can do next to take your health to the next level. So if you feel like your life is spinning a little bit out of control, it's moving a little bit too fast for you, you're losing your sense of self, you're losing your grounding, you want to reconnect and focus more attention on yourself. will help everything calm down and slow down. If you don't have time for self-care, that's the time you need it the most. So we always want to show up as productively and powerfully in every aspect of our life. So that demands that we care for ourselves first. That's enough for today. Remember, it's up to you to create the life that you want. So until next time, be well.